fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live once again. It's been a long time coming. Um, my apologies. I wanted to go live for the Ben Whitaker fight. It just didn't happen. You know, running around back home, hanging out with my pops, so everything was pretty much up in the air. But Ben Whitaker did a good job. He showed that he's become more serious about his craft. So big up for Ben Whitaker. All right. When you guys come on, hit the like button. We have a lot to talk about. This is the late night chat. I know that a lot have happened in the sport of boxing lately, with Terrence Crawford blasting Mauricio. And I'm glad that he did it, honestly. I'm glad that Terrence Crawford made a stand. J.B. What's good, Kurt? How's it going, brother? Man, it's going good. It's going good, man. I'm just relaxing in between shows because I finished one show last week, and I'm starting another show hopefully later this week or early next week. You know, we got the Jai Apataya versus Chivada fight coming Saturday morning, so stay tuned for that. So Jack's Man's Winter Holiday. What's up, brother? Hello to you. Poe _ is it Freak? Said hi. Counterpunch to you. Camo Boy, good morning from the UK, sir. Counterpunch to you in the late night / early morning show. I like that. You know, I try to have a nice sweet spot of when I should go live because, you know, it's not like this all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I mean, I try to get some key spots to go live, and sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. But I'm back, right? Kurt, who will win? Jai Apataya versus a prime Deontay Wilder. I don't know, man. Because Jai Apataya is a southpaw. Deontay Wilder was a reckless, sloppy, vicious, intentional, hard-punching guy that if you see, just look at a Deontay Wilder fight and see how many times he missed. But see the velocity at the punches that he threw. Deontay would throw punches that you may look at and like, okay, that shit looks comical because it was so sloppy. But then you have to think, those sloppy ass punches that he threw and missed, had they landed, they probably would have been devastating. Criminal. Mortal. And a lot of people don't realize that, like, the punches that people throw, you know, that they think, okay, I got this shot, and they, you know, they aim it up and they line up the shot, and the shot, you know, comes forward and it misses. If that shot would have landed, you don't know what type of damage a punch could do. And I think that's the thing about Wilder. I mean, he threw shots, and the shots that he missed, I think, should be respected because had they landed, they could have been mortal, criminal, and all the other devastating. All the things that I said about the punches that landed versus the punches that didn't. A prime Wilder eviscerates Apataya. He would hit Apataya with something probably bad. But keep in mind, Apataya is no Spilka. You know what I mean? Apataya, you got to give Apataya more credit than that. That's a good fight, though, because you know something strange about boxing? You never know. I mean, you never know what could happen in boxing. because people are, I don't know. I'll do a poll here in a second, and you know what? I'll wait for that poll. I'm not going to do that poll right now. But Wilder fighting Usyk is an interesting fight, and I think Usyk's right. That fight is interesting because you don't know what'll happen in that fight. Because Wilder might do some shit. He's not with Malik Scott no more. He's with somebody else. You know what I mean? Everyone talked about, oh man, Malik Scott ruined Wilder. He ain't the same with Malik Scott. He ain't doing the same stuff. He's a different animal. Kurt, okay. Ask Siri how to say seal pushed me yesterday in French. I don't know. Canelo versus Canelo, who win? I don't know. Bo-Y70 said hi. Counterpunch to you. Sensei Crawford. But Crawford told Mauricio what's up. I never liked Mauricio, to be fair. Every time I heard him talk, he talked like a politician. Kurt, how much language can you speak? How many languages? English, Spanish. Spanish is pretty good. Portuguese is decent. However, I haven't spoken in a while because I haven't been there. I haven't lived in a long time, but I haven't spoke anyone in Portuguese in a very long time. So, Kurt, I'm waiting on you to tell us why Wilder versus Usyk is interesting. I don't know if you're Mexican or black, Unc. If I'm Mexican or black. I'm not Mexican. I'm black, though. He said, stop confusing me. How do I confuse you? You ain't got hands. Okay. All right. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have hands, man. Nature Boy 3200. Shakur versus T.O. Oof. I don't know, man. T.O.'s the bigger guy, though. He's just bigger boned. You know, something tells me, though. Something tells me, people, between T.O. and Shakur, decide with Shakur. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because I look at T.O. and I thought about it real hard. And I was like, you know what? Teofimo Lopez Jr., you know what he is? Do you know who he is? I don't know how old you guys are, you know what I mean? Or how long you've been watching the sport of boxing. But I'm going to tell you this. T.O. is a current day Hector Macho Camacho Sr. Yeah. With his antics, with his mentality, with his controversial situations, you know, he is a current Hector Macho Camacho. And I could not senior, not junior. Junior, I feel, was better. But then he was the shadow of his father. But Hector Macho Camacho Sr., I could not stand. I could not stand him as a fighter. I didn't like him as a person. Kurt, what about Frank Sanchez versus Derek Chisora next for the IBF final eliminator? Nah. Because One thing about Derek ain't gonna take that fight. Now, had they fought, I think that you know, if Derek could pin Frank on the ropes, he could knock out Frank. And I'm not saying that because he's my friend. You know, I'm not because I mean I don't know Derek, and I'm saying that because Frank has an issue with pressure. He doesn't like to be pressured, like a lot of Cubans. They don't like to be pressured. You know, they don't like to be cornered. They can't deal with uncomfortable situations. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a Cuban thing because I'm claustrophobic. I don't like anyone to crowd me. I don't like anyone to crowd me. Being from Cuban descent, I don't like anybody to crowd me. So that's just probably, you know, the fact that Derek Chisora will smother you and give you everything that you can handle. Do you think we should send the orphans to prison? You would get eaten alive in an MMA fight, Unc. Get good at fighting instead of boxing. Huh. You know, that's funny you say that shit because I've never been in the cage. But I can tell you this. I know boxing and fighting are two different things. But there's only one way to find out, though. You know? Skrilla 50 in the building. Counterpunch to you, brother. Counterpunch to you. Drink that shit neat. The fuck? You ain't black. All right. Okay. Kurt, is Lara the best Cuban boxer ever? No. He is not. If you're not black, what the fuck? I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? Black in the sense of what? I'm curious. What do you mean? If you're not black, Mickey the Tool. Hi, Kurt. What you think to Usyk calling out Wilder? Think it'll be a good fight? Hell, you know, Wilder getting that opportunity is the reason why boxing gets rehashed but soon forgotten. Kurt, who wins? Alexander Usyk versus Prime Vitaly Klitschko. I don't know. That's a good question. Kurt, do you give Picasso a chance against Inoue and not a puncher's chance? Well, I think his chance is a puncher's chance. It's not made for you to get. If you're well-rounded in MMA, you'll win the fight most times. If you're an MMA fighter, you'll never win in a ring with boxing rules. I was looking forward to Lara versus Zanabek. Man, me too. And I'm still debating. I said that I wouldn't go live for that fight. I still might not, you know. Zanabek versus Lara was a good fight. I don't know, man. I hate when fights don't happen. You know, I can tell you this though. That's a PBC card. and PBC are like I don't know, man. It's just when certain fights that already get mapped to happen don't happen, is it fair to say you should question everything about it? What would you do the LeBron James question for me, $100 million? I don't know what that is. It depends. Because $100 million is too much money that I can spend. I wouldn't spend $100 million. Because you're talking to a person that's not hurting. So, do you like the Arabs are doing with boxing? Yep, I do. Hey, brother from the UK, what you think of this stupid fight with AJ and Snake Paul? We'll see. I mean, if it's some bullshit, we'll know that AJ was paid off and then everyone has a price, even AJ. So then AJ can't come around talking about he's a lover of boxing because he ain't, because he took 70, 80 million dollars to dance with Jake Paul instead of knock Jake Paul out, to do everyone that loves boxing true lovers of the sport a favor. And if he can't do that, that means that that's what it is. Dubois would annihilate Wilder. I don't know if Daniel could do. He probably could, but I think that's just. Yeah, maybe that's for AJ fanboys, because let's say Wilder goes in there and, because I've seen like southpaws fight, and Dubois is not really good with southpaws, you know. And I would like to see him fight like Wilder. I think an old Wilder, a vintage Wilder, would knock out Daniel. Catch him with a shot and just disembobulate him, and he would get hit, and that's it. And that may happen now if he still has the power. So Dubois, like, could he just beat him up? Yeah, he could beat him up if he can't. If Deontay can't hurt him, yeah, he'd beat the shit out of him. But I don't know. Usyk beats Prime Vitali. Klitschko, overrated, was soundly beaten by a super middleweight while in his prime. You're talking about Chris Bird, right? Chris Bird, what I found out about him, what I found out about Chris Bird was that he's an idiot. Because there's no reason that he should have been fighting heavyweights when he was actually a middleweight. I mean, that's his fault. Chris Bird, I didn't like Chris Bird either. I did not like Chris Bird. So, Skrilla, I'm with you, bro. I hated Chris Bird. Chris Bird was one of those guys that you wanted to get knocked out, but never got knocked out until he fought Ike Ibeabuchi. Hold on a second. Let's do this. There you go. That's better. I think it's pretty obvious AJ didn't make the money Eddie proclaimed he made. I don't know about that. I mean, I think he's made a lot of money. I don't, you're worth the wait, brother. I have no idea what AJ really made, because you have taxes and of course, the taxes from America came from England. England established the taxes here, and they fought and bloodshed and all this shit because they didn't want taxes, only to have taxes, which was stupid as shit. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. You kick the British out or whatever just to do what the British do. So yeah, AJ knows about taxes. Chris Bird had an underrated resume. David Tua, Vitaly Klitschko, and Evander Holyfield are excellent wins. Prime Ibeabuchi beats the current heavyweight. Yeah, I mean, but that's a prime Ike. We ain't gonna see that shit again. You think you're gonna see a prime Ike? Have you seen Ike Ibeabuchi lately? I don't know, man. Ike is Ike. He looks good, you know. Roy Jones versus Chris Bird would have been interesting. I think that would have been a durable fight, but you know what? The problem with Roy Jones versus Chris Bird, it wasn't. It wasn't a highly anticipated fight. Do you know much about David Tua? Yes, I do. The Terminator, the Tua man, the throwing Samoan. Yeah, who's he? I've never heard of him. Right? So I never, I always wanted him to be the next, I wanted him to be the first Samoan champion. You know? Miller would have given Ike problems. No. Ike would have beat him better than, no. It would have been a decent fight, but Ike could punch as well. And I think Ike could punch probably to the equivalent or probably harder than someone like Danny Dubois. He just had better form. See, someone like Ibeabuchi, you know, just sat in the pocket and just threw shots, but he was better form. Whereas Daniel is more of a, you know, he has more of a brawling style past the jab, if that makes sense. Right? Kurt, what about Roy Jones versus David Tua? Oof. Oh, God. I don't know. They done drinking enough Hawaiian punch. Tua would have cleaned up every heavyweight. No, I don't believe that either, because David Tua had a problem just like Andy Ruiz. He was a plodding fighter that could punch really hard. He wasn't as fast as Andy, but he had problems. He had cement feet. What about Simply Pickles and Rigatoni? I don't know what the hell that is. Oh my God, it's Khalid. Hi, how are you? Andy Ruiz versus David Tua. David Tua would knock out Andy. I think he would knock him out because he was a perfect fighter. You had a guy that, you know, David Tua just hit way too hard for Andy to sit there and try to trade with David, because eventually David would land, and when he landed a left hook, he would knock out Andy. David Tua would knock Andy Ruiz out. Period. What about receding hairline versus unreliable? Well, who is that? That had to be a relative of Miller or a Miller burner account. Kurt, in your opinion, could Joseph Parker run it back with Wardley? Will the out be the different? I don't know. I don't see. I think this is what I believe with Joseph Parker. The issue with him, I think they didn't want him around no more, and I think they did that. They put that in play just so Joseph Parker couldn't make a comeback. Because see, having that type of controversial stoppage wasn't enough. I think what they did was they knew, like, hey, look at here. Let's get Joseph Parker out of the game. Any crooked ass promoter could have set up a VADA test. That's what I think, man. I think they set Parker up. I think that loss wasn't good enough. They needed something else. Like, look, all right, you know, we're going to spike his shit up. We're going to put a little. Arizism, much love, my brother. Counterpunch to you. Frank, the dodgy prick, set him up. I don't know who set him up, but if it was someone like that, you couldn't prove it. Morrison Mercer was classic. That shit was damn near a case. The fuck is going on, man? Yeah, you know what though? That's the thing, man. I like going late nights, but it's crazy. Daniel Petrick. What up, OG? Counterpunch to you. Who have you trained? For what reason would they do that to him, though, Parker? They're tired of him being around. Macaulay dodging a 12-round rematch with Effie in the States. I don't know, man. But then I would like to see him fight, though. Why keep giving Parker opportunity if they wanted? Yeah. If they wanted to set him up, because they did, because he kept winning. Kurt, Fabio Wardley versus David Tua. He would knock Fabio out. Because the problem is Fabio would take shots that he hasn't took, and there's I don't think there's anyone in the heavyweight division that can punch like David Tua now. I just don't think that. I don't think AJ punches like Tua. I don't think who's hard hitting right now. Moses. I don't think any of Moses. I think is he's a chopping fighter. He's explosive, but I think that comes from mostly speed. Hey guy, what at which days he should take fight? Tua would launch Fabio to the moon. Would knock him out. Jake Paul has a chance against Joshua. Joshua fuck around and get clipped. He'll mess around and get clipped, man. Wardley has a good job and a good chin. I think he gives Tua some problems. Nah, I think he knocks him out like he did Fred Oquendo. In fact, Fabio Wardley looked like Fred Oquendo. Do you think Abataya will have a similar fate to Parker? I hope not. I am worried though. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm worried about Jai Abataya because he's making a lot of noise, and when you're one of those non-commercial fighters, see, Jai Abataya is a guy that he's too authentic to probably be corruptive. He's not Mexican. He's Pacific Islander. And I do think that that's not the type of fighter that they want to promote. I believe that boxing is all about black and brown. And when I mean black and brown, I mean African American and everyone in the Americas that speaks Spanish. That's brown. That being said, I think those are the fighters that, especially the WBC, I think they push. When you hear boxers talk, they sound like they can't read the fight, can't read the right dumb. No, bro. I mean, AJ's at which days left he should take a fight. Man, he's making millions of dollars. I don't think he gives a shit what we think. Jai is marketable just like Inui, isn't it? No. We've had enough. Like Joseph Parker was the first Samoan heavyweight champion. I think he is just as relevant as Andy Ruiz being a Mexican American champion. You know, was it B Vocally? Love the show. Appreciate you, man. But I mean, you know, other than that though, Jai Abataya, he's too real. He's too raw, bro. You remember you seen him on Talk Sports? They were like, Jai Abataya, what do you think about these guys? Well, fuck, man. I just want to get in a fight. Fuck. You know? Clanton would body Abataya. Okay. All right. Well, Jai Abataya, I think he needs to be careful. Just be careful. You know, his trainer just passed away, which sucks because that fucks with anybody. That's what happened, I believe, to Keith Thurman. And shout out to, I don't know if anybody on live right now was around on my channel over 6 years ago in 2019 when Manny Pacquiao, the congressman, the 40-year-old congressman, took on Keith Thurman. If you guys were there, I salute you. That was a great live stream, historic live stream. And that was earlier in the channel. The channel was 3.5 years old at that time. And I had, you know, all types of people here, you know, winning what? Yeah, including the gays, you cunt. Yeah, get him out of here. I was here for the Kirk Fabian Cameron is the name. Abataya will walk through Benavidez next time. Well, that's if Benavidez fights him. Kurt, does Manny have a goat case? I think he has a GOAT resume. I mean, I think his resume is better than Floyd's. I think, you know, his accomplishments that Manny has, he's done a lot more than Floyd, you know. It's just Floyd was at a position where he could do whatever the hell he wanted. And I think he gave birth to a lot of people that did that, but he couldn't do that to Manny because Manny was his parallel. Manny Pacquiao was the only fighter that Floyd fought that he lost to that didn't turned into a diva bitch. Cotto turned into a diva bitch. Canelo turned into a diva bitch. Conor McGregor even turned into a diva bitch. A lot of these fighters turned into this, I'm better, I fought Floyd, so I'm at this level that nobody can touch me or I can do things that normal fighters. Just a bunch of bullshit, baby. What are you drinking? I am drinking apple cider vinegar with lime. What's Seb Fondora ceiling? I don't know. Because once was a dominant, promising division, you know. I like his personality, but I just hate that he's that tall. Hey, folk, why you said vinegar like that? Are you from Ohio? No, I'm not from Ohio. Captain Morgan or Hennessy? No, neither. You will never catch me drinking Hennessy or Captain Morgan. I'm not a cognac man. I've never ever been. I'm not a Scots man. I don't like any of that shit. I don't like gin. Vodka used to be my alcohol of choice back in the day, but no longer, man. Man, you're not one of us or something. Captain Morgan with Coke and lime. Yo, any advice, man? I need help. My bad. My dog got ate by my pet squirrel and he gave birth to my goldfish on Sunday, yesterday night. That crazy, dude. What about Jim Beam? I don't like Jim Beam. I'm an uppity fucker. I am. If it's not top shelf, and even top shelf is not top shelf to me because, tell you guys a story. You know, I was raised in the South. I lived a lot of places, but I'm from Louisiana. Right? So I had some good people I was raised with, and I drank a lot of beer once upon a time, a lot of American beer. Um, I was a football player. I was a burly bastard, one of those barrel chest guys. I'm not small, but yeah. Anyhow, shout out to the Big Easy. Yeah, shout out to New Orleans. Shout out to all my relatives in Algiers on the West Bank. That's where my family, a lot of them are at. Not all of them, but I have family there. A lot of them. So shout out to them. So the fight doctor, Counterpunch to you. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin, 3683 in the building. Morning, everyone in the UK. Good evening to you, Kurt, and everyone in the UK. Counterpunch to you. So, Coors, not Miller. I couldn't stand Miller. Bud was okay. So, I grew up with that, That was a joke, okay? My old friend used to always drink that and get drunk all the time. Are you Indian? No, I'm not Indian. I do have an Indian story, but I'm not going to say it right now, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear it. I grew up in the bayous of Louisiana, lake bottoms, and I grew up fishing, hunting, and shit like that. Learned a lot about that. Father was in the military, and I learned, I learned to be a kid. You know, both parents had brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters. You know, you guys know Uncle C. He was my mom's brother because my mom's deceased. And he taught me a lot of stuff, some good, some not so good. And we drink a lot of alcohol. And, Budweiser, Keystone, Natural Light, Budweiser, shit like that. I became fond of, right? And I love drinking beer. Until maybe 10 years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, I started traveling and my palate changed, you know. So, XK Shots, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. I believe Fundora would beat Thurman. Maybe. But I tell you guys something, man. I started drinking Brazilian beer and I came back. It wasn't the same. And since then, I've always been kind of weird on that. That boy saw Latinas and his whole life changed. No. I actually had a different taste for beer. Give us a skincare routine. Skincare routine. Drink lots of water with lemon, lime. Shit's good for you. Kurt, I love what Terrence had to say about Mauricio. Bad is that man. And I love your counterpunch. Oh, I'm glad he did too. I mean, he's just a crook. If you Google Mauricio Suleiman, you will get a businessman. You ain't got no jab though. Okay. The fight doctor, we be crooks. Yeah. Mauricio should work at McDonald's. Mauricio should just go away. That's what he should do. He's swindled enough money from everybody in the last 30, 40 years. Then I think he should just go away too. Don't throw a hook, fam. So you're a boxer? Nah, I'm not a boxer. I'm not a box at all. Is it true? Is true? I think every boxer should show boycott the WBC. Man, there's been people trying to boycott the WBC for years. And I think this may be the case. And if they do get boycotted and it's successful, I wouldn't be mad at it. Because remember when Lennox Lewis became the undisputed heavyweight champion, he didn't have 4 belts. He was missing one of the belts that is relevant today. Mercer versus Povetkin. I'd go with Mercer. He's faster. Povetkin is a looping fighter. Sharp straight punches are faster than the looping ones. So I think because of that, I think Mercer gets him. But Povetkin is coming to knock your head off, man. I think Povetkin is not really respected how he should be. Still catch that left hand down the pipe. Dillian White was the last WBC heavyweight mandatory. Talk about double standards with Crawford. Man, fuck Mauricio, bro. I'm going to tell you guys about Mauricio. Mauricio's a crook. I never liked him. That's probably why I've never, because, a lot of times people hear your content to see if you're worthy or if you're commercial ready, but maybe I won't be. I don't give a fuck either. I don't care. What do you think when we'll get Caballero get a shot? He won't. They're already established in the WBC. And if you guys look at what happened, what's going on, Moses Atoma is fighting Lawrence Akali for the is it the IBF? No. It's the WBC. Right? Yeah, it's the WBC. It's the WBC. So the WBC, they're staging a fight between Moses and Lawrence to make sure Moses, fuck Lawrence Akali. He ain't going to win. He's not going to beat Moses Atoma. He's a pawn. And that being the case, they're going to make it a situation where what? Okay. We have Moses fighting Lawrence Akali. What about the WBC interim champion? See, whoever the winner of that should be, if they were doing it right, the winner should fight for the interim title. The interim title of the WBC belongs to Aged Caballero, but they're not doing that. So what does that mean for the WBC interim title? Nothing. Doesn't mean a fucking thing. Because if you got a belt and you're on your own island, he's beating dudes up. He's gonna fight, who's he gonna fight? Yeah, I forget his name. Right now. But I knew this would happen, and I told you what was going on. And what's happening is Aged Caballero is being put on ice. They're stalling him. They're giving him this ceremonial, hey, welcome back home, Aged, to fight in your home country in front of your countrymen. They're flowering him with bullshit. That's what they're doing. Instead of showing him, hey, this is what's happening. Lawrence Akali and Moses Atoma is actually going to fight for the fight that you're supposed to be granted, being the WBC interim champion. You see, that's what's happening in this situation. So when you see Moses, when they fight, they're going to fight. They're going to fight. So that's why I say fuck Mauricio. So everyone on the WBC and thinking that you're going to get your shot from that crooked ass sanctioned body, you're mistaken. You're fools. You think Mauricio is going to actually do the right thing. He's setting up for the fighters that's going to make the most money. And it ain't Aged Caballero, it's Moses Atoma. Why? Because Moses Atoma is the next upcoming thing. He is the present day Mike Tyson. He's knocking people out quick. He's gaining momentum, okay? And he has the graces of the British public along with the WBC. Not Aged Caballero. Aged Caballero is a guy that doesn't speak English well, that's not from the UK, that they are holding back. And they're doing it purposely, just like they did Joseph Parker. Just like they did Dillian White. And they didn't really like Dillian White because Dillian White was talking shit because Dillian White was too opinionated. He was too opinionated to be acceptable. They can't accept Dillian White. Why? Because Dillian White's talking too much shit. He's talking too much shit about the WBC, and then Mauricio got mad and said, you know what? No más. Vete contigo. Vete contigo. Pero tú no puedes entrar con este championship de nosotros. Yeah. That's what happened with that. And Dillian White was playing that shit just like Deontay Wilder was. But he couldn't fight Deontay Wilder. He separated it because he's like, well, look, if I got the real champion over here and the interim champion over here, and you draw the division, and they're both paying me, I'll just stall them and they'll keep paying me. Mauricio's a piece of shit, cock-sucking motherfucker. He ain't never been no good. I'm telling you guys. And Terrence Crawford is a revolutionary. He's a revolutionary. He's no good. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care. That's it. Povetkin versus Stavern. Stavern. So it is what it is. If all these sanctioning bodies, see, there can still be hope for the boxing because Ring Magazine has been there for over 100 years. Shout out to Terrence Crawford for helping. Absolutely. At the Fight Doctor, Counterpunch to you. So that's all that was, man. And it's how it's all going to ever be. Shout out to Terrence Crawford for keeping it 100. Absolutely. Streamer, please introduce yourself. I'm new. I'm Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. In Elenac for 547. ¿Qué estás tomando? Algo buenas. Algo fuerte. Congelo. Duite. Ring Magazine was like a mythical thing. Heard about it, but never seen it anywhere until Turkey took it over. No, it's been a real thing. It's just the Ring Magazine was a lot different than other sanctioning bodies because they relied on money to keep their self afloat. Yeah, I did. Oh, dale. Aprovecha. Ajá. Pero ahora es finito. You should see the lineal belt that Fury was sporting. Yeah. Lucas May in 3. What's good, Kurt? How are you? Good. I feel great, man. Who wins? Tyson in his prime versus Tua in his prime. Tyson Fury or Mike Tyson? Yeah, but Mauricio, bro, it's time for him to go. I mean, he's done enough bullshit to let us know you ain't for fighters, bro. You for the WBC, and the WBC is something that has failed boxing for a long time, that has put boxing in a bad light, And I think it's time to say goodnight. Bars. I think the reason Atoma withdrew from the IBF Eliminator is because the WBC would be the next line in line. They want to put him up against Usyk. No wonder the WBC made an eliminator. Because they also know, people, that Usyk is old. They know he's old. They know he's getting, not like too old, but he's aging. Kurt, I think you missed my comment. I was saying Povetkin is not respected because of his adverse finding and because he's Russian. Well, yeah, that too, but I think people, I think you should. I met Lennox Lewis way back when he was just starting boxing. Took a picture of him too. I didn't. I did not. What's been your fight of the year? Mine's probably in Billy versus Martinez. That's one of them. That is one of them, definitely. I think that was a hell of a fight. I'm glad it happened the way it happened. I'm glad it ended the way it ended because no fighter deserved a loss versus no fighter really deserved a win. Povetkin's adverse findings was bullshit because the substance was banned for a very short period of time when he tested. No, but understand the substance was also banned. It was banned before. He had, look. The substance that he had was banned. And they told him it was banned. And because it was banned, they told him, like, look, you can't use this anymore, and he used it anyway. What the hell is this? Ugh. My fight of the year was Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. All right. Povetkin's adverse finding was, okay. I already read that one. It's crazy. Oh. Fight of the year was Eubank Ben 1. You know what? I'll vote for that because I know that's when Chris Eubank Jr. was at himself, or he was game enough to show the best version of himself under those circumstances. So yeah, I get that. I get that totally. Yeah, fight of the year, Ben or Eubank Ben 1. And before I jump off of here, man, let's talk about that for a minute. I think that Chris put himself in a situation I don't think he had to be, but he did, right? And because he did, he suffered from it. Fight of the year was Tyson Fury and Paul. Tyson and Paul. Yeah, okay. Matter of fact, that was last year. That wasn't even this year. Can't call it fight of the year with such a terrible ending. Chris got greedy. He wanted that money, and he wanted it while he was still credible enough to get it. Plus, he was the winner. Tyson sold his legend away. Nah. Tyson doesn't give a shit about it because if you guys were around in the 90s, let me ask you guys a serious question. There we go. You know what? YouTube sucks. I just made a poll and I try to drag it down, but it's like it sticks right there, which is dumb. Yeah, it said seriously, nobody liked Tyson in the 90s. A lot of people did not. You're right. Do you know WizKid? Nope, I don't. Ugh. What is your prediction on Zayas versus? I don't know who those are. I never heard of those dudes. I couldn't tell you. What's the time there? The time here is 3:37 a.m. And yeah, I'm about to call it a day. Damn, it's 10:30 p.m. in New Zealand. Is it 10:30 p.m. in Friday? That's crazy. That's crazy. Peace, Kurt. Counterpunch to you. Julian Falcon in the building. Counterpunch to you, brother. Yeah, man, I'm going to jump off here, man. I just wanted to touch and reach out to everybody that was here and near. Counterpunch to you guys here. Bars. Until then, I will see you the next live stream tomorrow. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!